Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Get Published TV. This is the only dedicated show on the internet to help you to write, publish and market your own best-selling book. Now welcome to today's episode. As you can see, we've changed our normal set. We've got our blue couch out and that means we're ready to talk to a published author. So right now we have Brian Lawrenson and he's written one book, but he has a whole lot more coming out, and we're going to talk about a bit about what he's done with publishing his book and how he was able to get his book on Amazon.com, which I know a lot of people want to do, so we're going to be talking about the process of how to actually do that. So Brian, thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So let's just quickly bring us up to speed. Tell us about your passion for travel and why you wrote this book I'm holding in my hand. Tell us what it is and just quickly about what you've got in the works.
Well, this is a book about our travels. This particular one is about travelling along the Silk Road, and the Silk Road is one of the most fascinating places to travel in the world today. We came to write the book because a lot of people said to us, well, we've been getting your travel emails and sort of, we just love the journeys you've had, and why don't you put it into a book? And as we've been to something like over 70 locations around the world in the last
70 countries, that
70
is?
countries, yeah.
70 countries, wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So so we started to do that. You've got to start off with one book, but we have other books. The book 2 is well on the way, and the list is growing. So that's how we started off.
So you're an enthusiastic traveller, been to 70 odd countries. You're fascinated, and a lot of people are fascinated about the Silk Road. So you put this book together, and why is this book different to what a lot of people are familiar with that may be watching this, which is like the Lonely Planet sort of guide? How does this book differ, and who are you tailoring the book to?
Yeah, the book differs quite a bit in as much as that this is a story of our personal travels. It's a sort of story it's sort of an adventure story. It's a story of two people who have a passion for travel. It doesn't really talk about the type of topics that you'd find in a guidebook. I mean, most guidebooks are excellent and certainly necessary whenever you travel. But these are our own personal experiences to places that are quite unique. For example, we've travelled in Uzbekistan, which is in Central Asia, which has the most amazing culture. One of our experiences there, for example, was having dinner at the house of the Imam of Bukhara, who is their religious leader in that particular country. And he was a very educated man and very well spoken. And the dinner with him was absolutely an amazing experience. The things we learned, and an opportunity that you just wouldn't get in a travel book or on a travel tour. So this book is jam-packed with stories that we've sort of experienced along the way, because what we found is, as we found that to get the most out of it, you need to put the most into it in terms of the research, and if you do that, you can meet some absolutely amazing people.
Yeah, so you're really targeting more of the sophisticated traveller, or someone that wants to go off the beaten track, so to speak, and experience some really unique places, and wants to maybe find out some of the stories behind the people and the culture and really immerse themselves in it, which is just fabulous. So this is the first book that you've produced. Now, how did you go then about publishing it? You had the book done. I imagine you went through some editing process. So tell us quickly about that, and then how you moved on from there.
Yep. The first step, of course, after I'd put together what I thought was a manuscript, and we'd been through that pretty carefully, was I employed a local editor who was an experienced book editor, and she went through this particular book, and that was interesting because she found things in it that I thought, oh, well, that would be pretty obvious to anybody who reads that what that means, and she would say, well, I didn't understand it, please explain. So that meant there was some redrafting. There was some things she felt were repetitive, or maybe some things that weren't right. They weren't sizzly enough. They didn't have enough colour or enough description in them, and so that resulted again in quite a bit of reworking the manuscript until we got to a stage where we were then starting to look at spelling issues and paragraphing and all that type of thing. And that took a number of months, but at the end product, I think, was a much better manuscript than the one I started with.
So if you're taking notes, write down this tip: get a good editor. Having a great editor, as I'm sure you would agree, is really important, because no matter how many times you go over your book, you're not going to pick up some of the things that other people would. And because, again, as being a traveller that's been to a lot of places, you assume that people should know certain things, and if you're really trying to appeal to a broad base of people, and especially people from different countries, you really have to be careful and make sure you explain terminologies and you make sure that people knows what things mean.
I think it also helped too that Fiona was really passionate about travel as well, so
Right.
that really meant that we sort of had a common interest there, and that helped the process.
So that's a sub point then. So get a good editor, and preferably one that has a passion for your particular topic area as well. So you got the book edited, and what was your next step? Did you explore getting it published or a big publisher, or did you explore other options?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I looked into getting it published, and well, I have friends who have books published, and we talked to them, and they've had both good and bad experiences. I just felt that process was very time consuming. Now that I had a hot manuscript in my hand, I just wanted to get the book out there. So it started off last year, probably about, it was finished by the end of October, about the end of September, and I got it into, eventually I decided I would do a print on demand, and I had to decide then where will I have it done on a print on demand. So print on demand service is where the publisher actually can print as little or as few as one book at a time, or as many as 100,000. And there are a number of services offered almost in all countries around the world, and I particularly chose that I was going to have the book published in America, because I saw the American-Canadian market as being the major market, and that's really, so I felt that's where I'm going to go, and I looked at various print-on-demand publishers in the States.
Great. Okay, so if you're watching this, and you could be anywhere in the world, most countries now have their own local print-on-demand services, and so you've got print-on-demand companies in the UK, in Singapore, in Australia, New Zealand, everywhere pretty much. However, there is cost in logistics if you are printing your book in, say, in England with a print-on-demand service, and then if you're selling it primarily to the US, then it just increases the cost so much so that it starts to become a burden on people actually buying the book. So you said, where's my biggest market, and I'll use print-on-demand service in that country.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so which company did you go with, and how did it work?
Well, the obviously everybody has heard of Amazon.com, the world's biggest bookshop. So I mean, they have a division which is called BookSurge, and the BookSurge basically offer a print-on-demand service, but they also they offer a package or a series of packages that enables you to take the book right through from the manuscript which I started with, which was essentially a Word document, and they'll take it right through till the final book is actually on the Amazon shelf. And their package covers all of the necessary typesetting, all the cover design, the formatting, and even things to do with publicity and getting the ISBN numbers and all those sort of things that you would normally need to go through, or normally what a publisher would go through before they get the book, you get your book on the shelf. So that proved to be a very useful process. I chose to take the more expensive option, to have editing included, even though I'd had the book edited. I felt that was particularly important to have American editors in my main market was for Americans, and they had a slightly different style sheet to what we might use in Australia. So again, we chose to upgrade the book to meet that style sheet in the States. It was a time-consuming process that took about 2 additional months, but in the end, again, I was very happy with the result, and I think the book that's come out now is certainly is worth having put that time into it.
So let's just maybe clarify a few things for people. It's important to understand that BookSurge isn't an actual publisher. You still retain the rights to the book, so it's actually a form of it's basically self-publishing. That instead of the traditional way of self-publishing, which is that you would do an offset printing, you do all of the editing, typesetting, design yourself, and then you go to a printer and print maybe 3, 4, 5,000 copies. what you're doing is that they're doing the production steps for you in a package, as opposed to you sort of managing that process yourself. So what BookSurge would do, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would do the editing. If you've selected that in your package, then they'd also do their typesetting. They'd lay it out in book format. They would then design your cover. They would organize you an ISBN, and then they would print as many books as what you require.
Yes.
Okay. Now, and also BookSurge is, as you're saying, a division of Amazon.com.
Correct.
So just because you do a book through BookSurge, does it automatically guarantee that your book will be on Amazon.com, or is that some type of another package that you need to select?
No, I think the relationship is such that there's an expectation built into it that once it's gone through the BookSurge process, that it will be accepted for sale on Amazon.
Right. Okay. So it automatically just maybe not automatically, but it's highly likely that it will then get onto Amazon. Now, do they do all of that themselves, or do you have to then write in all the text and do all that type of stuff?
Yeah. What they have a series of pre-formatted internet pages, and all you need to do basically is fill in the blanks. So you provide your author profile, you provide the details of your sales information, even information about your blog. So you can provide all of that, and that all gets uploaded by them onto the Amazon site. And once you're then signed up with Amazon, and once you're up and running, then it's up to you then to update your Amazon site as you want. So if you want to put additional photographs, you want to put additional things like, for example, to get reviews. I've got quite a number of good reviews that are done by Amazon reviewers, as opposed to just individual friends that might have bought the book. They have all been put up on the site by Amazon with an arrangement that I've had with those reviewers.
And how would you, as someone that doesn't live in America, how would you rate the experience of dealing with the company BookSurge, with time differences and with efficiency, and were you happy with the overall service?
Well, once we got over the fact there is a time difference, and then they stopped calling me at 3 a.m. in the morning, things really went well. And I found that the general turnaround time usually is 24 hours to answer an issue, and therefore the process has gone as speedily, I think, as it probably would have even had it's been a local company. They obviously they have account managers who look after your account. They have a design team that actually work with your book, and I couldn't have any other than praise for the efforts of those people. The only area that I could say that I found with Amazon is that they won't actually sell your book for you. They won't actually market your book. You have to drive people to the Amazon site to buy your book. That is the only lesson that I've learned from the exercise today.
So we said we're going to teach you how to get your book onto Amazon.com. So essentially what you're doing is you can't get it directly on there. You're going through BookSurge to do a lot of the production, and then they manage the process of getting it on there. So check out BookSurge. I'm guessing it's booksurge.com.
Yes.
Is the website that you should check out there. But once it's on Amazon.com, some people would mistakenly assume that it means that they're going to get thousands of people look at their page and maybe hundreds of orders every month. And what your experience has been is that everyone sort of starts at square one, and you need to put in their time necessary in order to make it a success.
Absolutely, and being an unknown author, even though you might have a good topical subject, it really doesn't mean that the book's going to automatically sell. People are very reluctant to buy something that they don't know very much about. Yes, the photographs might look great. There's a great feature on Amazon which is quite useful, and that is the read inside the book feature, which people can actually go into your book. They can read the contents, the front cover, the back cover, and up to 15 pages. And that really gives them a similar facility as in a bookshop, where people would look at browsing through the book. And that does help people to decide to buy. But even so, you still have got to drive the people to the Amazon. I do that through my own website. On my own website, I actually have two links. One, I have look inside the book, which I'm saying to people, hey, I've given you a bit of a story about what's in the book and how it came about. Now go and look inside the book. And then the other one, of course, is the buy button. So buy the book now, and that will take them directly to the book title in Amazon, and they can then click on the cart, and they can then complete the purchase. And that works very smoothly and very well. one of the other reasons why I went to BookSurge is that the financial arrangement that they have with Amazon is fairly advantageous to you. This book sells in the States at $17.99, and I get $6.30 out of that sale in US currency. So that's quite a reasonable return, and yes, it would be nice to sell thousands, but I'm quite happy now to have a nice weekly number turning over, and each month I get a check from them, and it's nice to be able to put that in the bank.
Now there have been some people that have written in to Get Published TV saying that they've read some of the terms on Amazon.com, and you need to have an American bank account in order to actually get your books on there. Have you been able to find a way around that as a non-US resident? What's the process there?
No, well, the first thing is the American government have a withholding tax of 30%. So if your hard-earned royalties, unfortunately, are taxed before anybody gets your hands on the money.
30% is a big chunk.
Well, I suppose when you come to do your local tax return, I suppose it will help to level it out. But we haven't got around to that stage yet.
Right.
But then the check is for the balance, and it gets sent to me every month. I think there's a minimum check which is $25, and I've always been above that. So it's as I say, it's nice to have the check.
Right. So if you want to be paid directly into your bank account, you do need a US bank account.
Yeah, correct.
However, if you don't, they will pay you by check.
In US currency, yes, correct.
However, if you normally have to pay fees to your bank, right?
Well, $10, but on a $500 check, $10 is okay with me.
Yeah, okay, great. Now let's just talk about very briefly, because we could talk about this for probably another half an hour, but we haven't got the time, about marketing your book. Can you just give maybe one or two quick tips for once your book is up there, what are some of the things you can do to market your book and to get it moving? Well,
the main thing is to get people to come to your website, and the normal ways you would do that is to put out press releases, you put out articles. I've done quite a few articles on various aspects of Silk Road travel, and that drives traffic to your website. Then you've got to convert them into either looking at the book or buying the book. Now, we're still looking at the best way to achieve that, and it seems to me at the moment that people have come to our website are about 50-50. 50% of them go and look at the inside the book, and we're trying to work out how many of those convert to buyers. So there are some web tools available from Amazon that help you in that area, but the important message is to get people to their website, and really that is your responsibility. Amazon aren't going to do that for you, although they do have some great promotional ideas. Up to now I've found that those haven't particularly worked for me.
So the key message then is you really need to have a website. You can't just rely on Amazon.com.
Yeah.
You have to have your own website, drive as much traffic to your own website as you can, and then when people to buy the book or to check out the book, you just have a link that goes to the Amazon page.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned some things before about using a tool where you can link your book to other books on Amazon.com.
Yeah.
You want to talk briefly about that?
Yeah, as I said, the thing that once you've got your book onto the Amazon site, the things that you really need to do, as I say, is get the reviews. A lot of people who are looking to buy your book would want to read the review, and they'd like to know the review was from an independent person. So yes, you can have all your family and friends write reviews if they're all customers of Amazon, but I have chosen to use Amazon reviewers, and I'll contact them and I'll ask them if they want to write a review. I send them a copy of the book for free, and I've had some very good reviews. It's important that you have good reviews.
Do you have to pay for those reviews?
I've never paid anybody. Although I've got a couple of people of Amazon top 100 reviewers, and they basically do. I've chosen reviewers that have already reviewed other books in a similar market to the web that I'm in, and I think that's important.
And why are they doing that? Are they doing it so they can get a free book, or?
Well, for they get a free book, but also some of them it's like a prestige thing to be an Amazon 100 reviewer. Is a sort of bit of a prestige. I mean, there is a person who is an Amazon #1 reviewer, apparently somebody who speed reads and has read something like 10,000 books.
Right. Okay.
So I've not approached them, but maybe I should.
So getting reviews and then also
that's
linking.
Getting important. Okay. Then also Amazon have a thing called Listmania. Listmania is you can put a list of your favorite 10 or 12 books, and you can put that up on the Amazon website. You obviously put your book in that list, but the idea is that little book then links back to other books. So people who are looking at the other books on that 10 list will also see an image of your book and the title of your book, and they can then click on that and they can come back to your page on the Amazon website.
So I'm guessing with that list you don't just put the books necessarily that you like, because you might like science fiction and cooking.
Yeah.
You put books that are actually similar or have common themes or titles.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of the major books in sales on the Silk Road and China and the Middle East, those are the main areas that I would put link in those links in.
And just very, very briefly, because again this is a whole other topic, there are many people that would be familiar with the Amazon bestseller strategy about getting certain people to order at a particular time, which then puts you either #1 sales for that day, or maybe #1 in your category, which you can then leverage off that title for maybe media or for press releases that you're going to do, or to brand over your website for profile building. Have you had experience with that? Do you think it's a good thing, bad thing? Just give us 1 or 2 thoughts.
Look, I think the Amazon bestseller program, if you can say you're an Amazon bestselling author, I mean, that does carry a lot of credibility, and particularly if you're trying to get media material, if you want to get somebody who's going to maybe review your book, and I think it really all helps. It's something that you need to think about, you need to plan it, you need to find out how to do it. It doesn't happen automatically. It can be quite technical, but it can have tremendous spin-off. And I certainly, with my next book, which I'm working on at the moment, that's very much in the forefront. We hope to take it to Amazon bestseller on launch.
On launch.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, a lot of exciting things that I know that you're working on. You've got many, many more books in the pipeline, which is very exciting. So, any kind of final thought or word of inspiration that you'd like to give people that have watched right to the very end, that would like to get their book on Amazon.com, or just get their book into the hands of readers?
Well, I guess 2 things really. Just first of all, go and have a look at Amazon, and if you aren't already a customer, they are a very easy company to work with. And the second thing is just imagine your book on Amazon and how well it's going to sell, because they're the world's biggest bookseller. There's something like 300,000 plus affiliates selling their books, so it's like having 300,000 bookshops selling your book, and if you can achieve success with that, well, you're going to certainly make good money out of it.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Brian, for coming in and for sharing your knowledge. And again, your book is called Following Marco Polo's Silk Road. And tell us your website if people want to go.
Yes, my website is www.marcopolopress.com, Marco Polo Press, and that's our publishing company.
Or they can go to Amazon.com, right?
Or Amazon, absolutely.
Amazon.com, and type in the title of the book as well, and you'll find it there. But thanks very much for coming and sharing your knowledge. We'd love you to leave a comment on this video. So if you click on the button, if you're on Get Published TV, you'll find it there. Leave us a comment, and if you have any other questions about some of the finer details of dealing with Amazon.com, put them down as well, and I'll cover them in a future episode of Get Published TV. This is Dale Beaumont. Thanks for watching. See you next time.